The Nolan Wells investigation just took its darkest turn yet, and everybody is looking the wrong way. The timeline explodes as Nolan's mother is now under state investigation. Why target the mother who's begging for answers? But here's the crucial piece nobody wants to talk about. Where is Nolan's phone? Without those primary digital receipts, someone is getting away with a rewrite of what happened that day. Is this a genuine pursuit of facts or an aggressive cover-up?
I don't think they've cooperated at all. They do not have Nolan's phone. They haven't had access to Nolan's phone. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department hasn't. So how can you say that there's text missing or there's photographs missing? Our boys had no reason to do anything with Nolan's phone other than give it back to Christine and her friends later that night. So anything about missing text messages or Snapchats is completely false.
That was defense attorney Tyler Cox, representing the young men who took Nolan Wells to Horn Island on the 4th of July and came back without him. Now listen carefully to how a veteran trial lawyer constructs a defense. Cox claims his clients haven't had access to Nolan's phone, that Nolan's family has it, and therefore no text messages or Snapchats could possibly be missing. But here is a double-edged sword. If Cox and his clients claim they haven't had access to that device since that night, how can he speak with absolute certainty about what is or isn't on it? How does he know what was sent, what was deleted, or what happened in the gap between the island and the mainland before the device was recovered? I'm not saying Cox is lying. He's doing his job as a defense lawyer. But in a high-stake investigation like this, declaring nothing is missing before a forensic digital analyst is complete isn't a proven fact. It's a legal posture.
Officer Tatum, thank you for being with us. Let me talk about this one moment. We've got so much to get to. I'm going to try to be brief. Tyler Cox stating, I don't think they cooperated at all. I think he's talking about Nolan's family. They, I guess, the sheriff's office, haven't had access to Nolan's phone. Well, can't they subpoena that? It's called a subpoena ducis tecum. You're familiar with those. You've testified in court. A subpoena ducis tecum is, we hear about subpoenas for testimony. I've been subpoenaed. Yes, go to court and tell the truth. A subpoena ducis tecum is for an item, an object, a document. The sheriff can give out a subpoena ducis tecum or get a warrant for an object. So, you don't have it? Fine, get it. According to the mom, Officer Tatum, she says that there was nothing sent out while Nolan was at Horn Island, which she found very odd. I have no reason to disbelieve her. Officer Tatum, where is Nolan's phone?
Well, from my understanding, authorities do not have it, and the family have not been cooperating with authorities to give the phone over. According to the testimony or written statement from the lawyer that represents the family, the Nolan Wells family, he had made mention that he's prepared to cooperate, but they have not cooperated yet, which is very interesting to me. You want to find out what happened to your son. You would think you will be doing everything you can to cooperate. I can't judge her. I don't know what's in their mind, but it just seems to be very off-putting for them not to at least give the phone over and do what exactly they told the world.
You just stated that, basically. Correct me, you can paraphrase this any way you want to. It looks really bad for Nolan's family not to hand over the phone. Do you have any independent knowledge they have not handed over the phone?
According to their lawyer that wrote a statement, and the statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, but that was as of the 11th, therefore they have not cooperated. Tyler Cox has made mention that he don't believe they cooperated whatsoever.
You're taking the words, Tatum, that their words, that they're prepared to cooperate, to mean they haven't handed over the phone. Isn't that true?
I'm putting everything together, right? We have Tyler Cox that's coming out and saying that he has no indication whatsoever they've cooperated. The family has not come out and said that there's any findings. And then also the attorney that represents the family is saying that we haven't sent or gave the phone over, but we're willing to. And that was as of the 11th.
Brandon, you may very well be a lot smarter than me, but I can hear. The statement was, we're prepared to cooperate, I guess from Crump. That does not mean we have not handed over the phone, but we will.
Well, Nancy, when you put it all, you have to put the totality of circumstance together. I'm not there to be in the room with the investigators to determine, but I'm just going off of what knowledge we have and that's been given to us that's available. And what Tyler Cox is saying, and I'm taking him at his word, he's saying that there's no indication that they've cooperated. The lawyers that represent the family is saying we're prepared, but they did not say that they cooperated whatsoever. So I'm looking at the statements that are produced, and all of the statements indicate that there has not been a cooperation with the phone being extracted from investigators. Therefore, there is no true determination that things were missing from the phone.
That is commentary host Brandon Tatum asserting that Nolan Wells' family is actively withholding evidence and refusing to hand over Nolan's phone to law enforcement. But listen carefully to the leap in logic being made here. Tatum is taking a statement from the family's legal team, which states they are prepared to cooperate, and twisting it to mean they refuse to surrender the device. Let's unpack the assumption-based argument. Prepared to cooperate does not mean non-compliance. It could mean scheduling a formal evidence handoff, setting chain of custody protocols, or arranging for independent forensic extraction. Law enforcement has legal tools. If a sheriff department genuinely wants a crucial piece of physical evidence, they don't wait for permission. They issue a subpoena, deuces take them, or secure a search warrant. Tatum admits he's taken defense attorney Tyler Cox at his word, but building a narrative on a defense lawyer's speculation rather than verified police confirmation is dangerous. I'm not saying Tatum is intentionally misleading anyone, but confusing legal readiness with total non cooperation creates a narrative that blames the victim's family before the forensic reports are even signed.
Now, to my question. Don't you understand why people are suspicious? Because Nolan's separated from his phone, which no teen does. I get it, why he didn't have it in the water. I get that. I dive, I swim. I just went swimming with the dolphins with my twins. And yes, my phone was on the boat. But then I got it. I didn't let the boat take off without it. So at least you can admit that's why people are curious. I'm curious.
Nancy, I think it's because people are out putting out misinformation and they don't have the totality of circumstances because they haven't heard from the boys, didn't watch the interview and all of this stuff, and they feel that it's convoluted. It's very straightforward to me and very clear in many areas that the boys are saying they did not have access. Christine, Nolan's mother, is not saying unequivocally that things were deleted. She was surprised that things were not present. Therefore, she insinuated that things may have been deleted. But she did not really say that the phone was deleted. And the fact that they did not communicate with both sides, meaning that I wish that the Nolan Wells family would have communicated with these boys instead of me, would have talked to their lawyers instead of me, then therefore they could have gotten a good perspective. The boys made mention in the interview that I did with them that they told Christine, Nolan's mother, that they had his phone and his keys in their possession. Therefore, she came to get them. They turned them over. They have no access to his codes. They have no reason to delete his phone. They're claiming there's nothing that was deleted. They gave a fair explanation as to why he left the phone on the boat. Nolan wasn't the only individual to leave a phone on the boat. He wasn't the only black person to leave a phone on the boat. So that, to me, dispels the racial component. He was with them. Multiple boats came out. Traditionally, if you don't leave on a boat you came on, you can leave on another boat. They're all going to the same location. So it's not that bizarre that he left his phone. The phone was returned to Nolan.
That is Brandon Tatum attempting to downplay public skepticism by calling it misinformation and claiming the entire situation is completely straightforward. But let's test that claim against basic human behavior. Tatum argues that leaving a phone behind on a boat isn't bizarre, that the boys had no access to Nolan's passcode, and that they returned it to his mother like best friends would. But let's ask the obvious question that every parent, investigator, and rational person is asking. When was the last time you saw a teenager or young adult voluntarily separate from their cell phone for hours on end and then let the boat carrying that phone sail away without them? I understand leaving a phone on a dry deck while you're in the water. I get that. But letting the boat leave the area entirely with your lifeline on board, that is where the narrative hits a wall. Tatum wants you to believe the public is just being paranoid, but asking why a young man was left isolated without his phone, his keys, or a way to call for help isn't spreading misinformation. It's common sense. I'm not saying the boys deleted anything, but pretending there's nothing suspicious here ignores how the real world works.
Has the boat been searched by cadaver dogs and scent dogs?
The boat, from my understanding, has not been searched, and the cadaver dogs were made available for Benjamin Crump to utilize them to do a search on the boat. They refused.
Crump is not supposed to use the dogs.
There is no reason to search
everything on Crump.
They do not have any expectation that there was any murder that occurred. It's just other people are putting it out to the world. The police department is not investigating a murder. These boys are not suspects.
I agree they're not suspects. They're not persons of interest. They're not suspects. They haven't been charged. Tatum, you just said when Crump says we're available and ready, you meant, well, that's no, they haven't handed over the boat. But now you're saying the friends say our boat's available and ready. And I'm not going to tear you a new one because the law enforcement is the one that needs to go and search the boat.
Nancy, the people who had questions about this, because it's definitely not law enforcement, it was Benjamin Crump. They wanted to get to the bottom. They don't trust law enforcement.
There's not a grand jury? This isn't going to grand jury?
I'm saying initially before grand jury.
Because if it's going to grand jury, then there are questions.
Initially before grand jury, when this first started, and Benjamin Crump brought up all these questions, and they availed themselves to him and said, would you like for us to search the boat? We'll grant the cadaver dogs for you to go and look at the boat. And he refused. And this is why I'm saying it does not appear.
Give authority to search the boat.
He can. The boys are cooperating.
I want you to run over to Tatum's house and sniff the hell out of it because it's
I would
your
say,
house.
come on over. I would say, no. I said, come on over. The cadaver dogs are made available, but then Benjamin Crump said, well, we don't want it.
Wait a minute.
They are not
Did
pursuing
the
like they claim they
families
are.
say, here's our boat, come search it? Did the families offer the boat up to
They
search?
offered boat, phones, whatever investigators needed, whatever the family needed, they made it available. The family did not pursue any avenue to connect with the boys on any level. The boat, to talk about timeline, to communicate with parents, to communicate with lawyers, they have done nothing.
Listen closely to what Brandon Tatum is trying to sell you here. The double standard is staggering. Tatum claims that because attorney Benjamin Crump didn't hire private cadaver dogs to search the boat, the victim's legal team isn't actually pursuing justice. He insists the young men made their boat available, and because Crump didn't jump on it, the case is closed. Let's expose the flaw in that logic. Civil attorneys do not conduct state homicide investigations. Benjamin Crump is a civil rights lawyer, not a sworn law enforcement officer or a forensic state investigator. Expecting a family's lawyer to run private cadaver dog operations on a potential crime scene is a total deflection. Notice the double standard. When the family's attorney says they are prepared to cooperate, Tatum claims that means they are hiding evidence. But when the defense attorney says their boat is available, Tatum treats it as absolute, unquestionable proof of innocence. You can't play it both ways. It is a law enforcement job, not Benjamin Crump's, to execute search warrants, bring in certified working dog, and process physical evidence. Blaming a grieving family's attorney for law enforcement's failure to search the boat isn't an analyst. It's an excuse.
Let me understand. I don't know, and I don't think you know where Nolan Wells' phone is. The family may have it, or it may have been seized or handed over to law enforcement. And if it hasn't, then they, law enforcement, need to issue a warrant for it. It's really not hard.
Well, you're going to have a reason to get a warrant. And if it's a criminal investigation and they believe that they can find evidence of a crime, if they had access to his phone, I could see them getting a warrant to extract his phone outside of the parent's will. But if you're looking at a potential drowning and there's no criminal element involved and the parents are refusing to give over the phone, they don't believe it's any material evidence there. No, I'm saying this is what the law enforcement
agency. These questions anymore. We don't know that Nolan's family has refused to hand over the phone. My simple question to you is, law enforcement, if they want the phone, get a warrant for the phone. Go get the phone, or
Nancy,
communicate to the family, give me the phone.
Nancy, there could be two things afoot. I'm not a part of the investigation, but I can see if they haven't gotten the phone yet, it's because they don't need the phone and they don't want the phone. It's not there of evidentiary value if there is no suspect here. If it was a drowning and there's indications of a drowning, they may not need it, Nancy, so they're not going to go get it. If they need it, they would already had it a month ago.
Tatum claims that if law enforcement hasn't gotten a search warrant for Nolan's phone, it must be because there's no evidentiary value and they don't need it. He tries to dismiss this entire situation as a simple non-criminal drowning where digital evidence isn't irrelevant. But let's dismantle that assertion right now. We don't actually know where the phone is or who has it. Tatum speaks with absolute certainty that the family is withholding it, but has law enforcement officially confirmed that? No. The family may have it, or it may already be sitting in the evidence locker awaiting forensic imaging. A phone in 2026 is always material evidence. In a missing person or unexplained death case, the victim's phone contains GPS location, step counts, last known text messages, and timestamps. It's the ultimate digital witness. The no warrant needed fallacy. If investigators genuinely believe the phone held crucial details to confirm a timeline, accidental drowning or otherwise, they wouldn't just throw their hands up because a family hesitated. They would secure a search warrant from a judge in probably under 2 hours. Tatum asks you to believe that police don't want the phone because it doesn't matter. But since when does law enforcement ignore the single most vital piece of digital timeline evidence in a young man's final hours? And more importantly, is Brandon Tatum a forensic investigator or a medical examiner to make that call?
You keep saying it was a drowning. I have responded, are you a medical examiner? You said no. So how do you know what happened other than what you've been told? I don't know what happened.
Nancy,
I don't know if he was hit on the hip. I don't know if he got drunk and drowned. I don't know. So how do you know?
Nancy, I have to push back on you on this. I did not say it was a drowning. I gave you two options. I said the police could be investigating a crime, and if they're investigating a crime and they have suspects and they need evidence, they will extract the phone with a search warrant. against the family's will. If they do not believe that they're investigating a crime that's been committed and it is a drowning, according to them, they may not need the phone. So they're not gonna do a warrant to extract the phone against the family's will. So that's all I'm saying, Nancy. I did not say I know for a fact whichever way it went. I really don't know, and nobody
You keep
knows
saying
except
it's
for
a
people that are
drowning.
investigating.
I heard you.
No, I just made mention that they may be investigating it as a drowning. The initial findings, or at least the
Are you
initial
going to
report
make
that came
mommy
out.
do a playback? Am I going to have to do a
I did,
playback? to tell you
Nancy,
what you
I
just
did
said?
not say that it was a drowning. I said that they could have investigated as a drowning or as a suspect
Okay.
involved in a murder, and that's why they would do certain things and not do others.
My point is, Tatum, we don't know the answer, and this is an investigation to find out what happened. And when you have an investigation, you subpoena documents, items, testimony. There's a grand jury set. That means there is an investigation. You know what a grand jury is, right? They investigate. They have two tasks. One, as an investigation arm. Two, as a charging arm. If they find out this was an accidental drowning, so be it. If they find out he had help getting drowned, so be it. Our point here, and with this, I think you agree, is not to harm anyone's reputation, bury somebody unwarrantedly, name the wrong person. I'm not naming anybody. I want to know what happened to Nolan. I don't understand why so many people are upset about that.
Tatum is now pushing back, claiming, I didn't say it was a drowning. I said, if it's a drowning, they don't need a search warrant for the phone. And I agree, he did say if. But let's address the elephant in the room that Tatum keeps trying to talk around. There is a grand jury impaneled. A grand jury isn't called for routine, non-suspicious accidents. It serves two primary functions, like Nancy said, an investigative arm and a charging arm. In both roles, its purpose is to gather evidence, subpoena records, and compel testimony. You don't guess the cause of death before gathering the digital receipts. Saying police might not need the phone if it's a drowning assumes the case is already solved before the grand jury even finishes collecting evidence. I don't know if Nolan tragically drowned on his own or if he had help getting in that water, possibly drugs. Nobody outside the grand jury room knows for certain. But when a young man dies under mystery circumstances, demanding subpoenas and forensic extractions is standard investigative procedure. I'm asking the same question as Nancy. Why does asking for a full investigation make so many people uncomfortable?
You're seeing video given to us by Officer Tatum's show. Look at all the people out there. Thanks, Tatum. Because you know what? Somebody saw something, somebody knows something, and they are not coughing it up. And we're going to keep on until they do. Now, speaking of the friends, as you call them, I have no reason to believe them or disbelieve them. This is what you told me earlier. Have the friends taken polygraphs?
Well, from my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph. And from what was told to me, that they all passed. And all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a polygraph
Why do you say
test
that's from
but
what
one.
you understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
Yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lie detector test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lie detector test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's not a traditional lie detector test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lie detector test. It's a different methodology. I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors in order to analyze if
So
people
then
were
the
telling the
answer
truth or
to
not.
did they take a polygraph would be no. A polygraph measures all sorts of data on your body. It is much more reliable than a voice analysis. For all I know, these friends took a voice analysis because it was readily available. I don't know why they did that over a poly. There could be an innocent explanation. They didn't have to do anything, but they did. They did do something, or at least most of them did. That's the question. I want to know, has the boat been searched? I want to know where the phone is. I want to know, have they taken a poly? Is that asking so much? My question to you is, you're stating that the friends, I'm talking about the young man on the Triton, that the friends have handed over their phones.
Yes, ma'am. According to the lawyer and according to what they told me, they said they handed over to the FBI voluntarily. And the sad part is that I wish that Nolan's phone could be evaluated because there have been claims that had not been substantiated, and I believe that the claims should have never gone out in the public unless they were substantiated, that there was a potential that things were deleted from his phone, which put these young boys in a bad position unnecessarily. It's not fair to say that you're throwing out that things were
No, it's
deleted,
not.
but obviously mom
No, it's
can't
not.
determine if they were deleted because she couldn't do a forensic investigation on the phone, so she really don't know. Which I'm not
Unless
knocking
she
her as her
looked in the
baby.
deleted file and found things.
Well, she
She could have
within
looked in the
Nancy,
deleted file and found things, and we don't know
and
that
she would
happened.
have
And
told
I agree with you.
she would have told the world, Nancy, if she would have found certain things that were actually deleted. She would have come out. I'm sure Benjamin Crump would have come out, and I would commend her to come out and encourage her to. If she saw that a picture of Nolan was deleted, a text from Nolan was deleted specifically talking about or inferencing certain things. If any of those things had happened, I would guarantee it should be criminal if they would not turn it over to law enforcement so law enforcement can evaluate the phone and see if there were individuals communicating or deleting communication, because that is a crime. And so the fact that the family, from my understanding and what the lawyers have said, that they haven't given this information over to law enforcement for them to evaluate, it's very troubling to me.
You don't know they haven't, and I don't know that they have. But what you're saying about tampering with evidence is absolutely true. But I have no reason to believe that Nolan Wells' family has tampered with evidence. That said, I think you've got things backwards. I do not want to convict or hang an innocent person. All I want to know is what happened. And I haven't even gotten to the Cito call. Is it real? Is it fake? I'd like somebody, i.e. you, if you have the original, to put it out there. You are saying one thing. I'm questioning that because we don't know. And in the middle of it all, we have got a dead body of Nolan Wells. And I don't take anybody at face value. I don't suspect anybody, and I suspect everybody. I can't tell who's telling the truth. But we will, God help us, find out what happened to this young man.
Brandon Tatum has asked us to take an awful lot based on his understanding. And every single time we test that understanding, it shifts. First, we were told the friends took polygraphs and passed. They did not. They took a computer voice stress analysis, a drastically different tool that lacks the physical monitoring of a traditional polygraph. Second, we're told everyone cooperated. Yet, by Tatum's own admission, one of the key young men on that boat, Warren, refused to even take the voice test. Like, why? Third, Tatum praises the friends for handing their phones to the FBI while simultaneously accusing Nolan's grieving mother of hiding evidence and committing crimes by withholding his phone, a device that, for all we know, is already sitting on a detective's desk. I want to be unequivocally clear about where I stand. I'm not here to convict an innocent person. I'm not here to bury young men without facts. The friends may be completely exonerated by digital forensics, and if they are, so be it. But praise for unprecedented cooperation does not erase the massive logical gaps in this timeline. Brandon Tatum is a former police officer, but he has never been a prosecutor, medical examiner, or judge. We have an active grand jury. We have unverified audio logs like the Cito call. We have conflicting timelines. And in the middle of all this legal posturing and online debates, there is a mother grieving, and there is a dead body of Nolan Wells. And asking for warrants, asking for polygraphs, and asking for physical evidence isn't an attack on anyone's reputation. It is a pursuit of truth. I take nobody at face value. I suspect everyone, and I suspect nobody until the forensics speak. We will not get tangled up in distractions. My objective is to challenge them. See y'all soon.